Welcome back to Fantasy 1.0. Today we're discussing waiver wire pickups for week 1.
Put your seatbelt on and yield for the apocalypse, yeah. It's the apocalypse, yeah.
Alright everybody, happy week 1. So yeah, we're not going to worry about the light, we're going to worry about the message. Because the sun isn't up yet, because I live in Canada and it's fall, and the sun decides it doesn't want to come until 6:30 up here this time of year. So off we go. Alright, let's get this party started. So, wait a minute. Today we're going to talk about all of the, well, we're not going to talk about the games, we're not going to talk about the lines yesterday. I felt so bad for those fans. Brutal game. Okay, but we're going to talk about all the players I want you to consider picking up this week. And the ones I want you to kind of skip over. There's more fantasy value to be had on the waiver wire in weeks coming. That's my big message for now. I also want to talk about some strategy going from week 1 into week 2 in terms of roster management. Okay, so in no particular order, I'm just going to go through some guys. I'm going to talk about the percentage they're owned, why I think you should pick them up, or why I think you should, half consider picking them up, and they're still around on Wednesday, grabbing them then. Okay, first up is John Brown. So he had a beautiful TD grab. I thought that Flacco looked really good in that game, the parts of the game that I did watch. And I like that he appeared to be spreading the ball around. I know that Brown only had about 3 grabs, but he looks like he had his eye all preseason, Flacco's eye, and it looks like he has it now. So he's available in 20% of leagues. I had no problem with him being your wide receiver 5 at the end of your bench. So see if he's around. Again, don't blow the budget on most of these guys. I think a lot of people are going to overreact, especially because it's week 1. You're not going to find one of those guys that's a season changer. Maybe there's 1 or 2. Obviously, I'm going to mention those. All right, next up is T.Y. Yeldon. He's on in 15% of leagues. PPR, I'm sure that the value's a lot higher because he's going to be catching a lot of passes out of the backfield, regardless of what happens with Fournette. So Fournette, I think it's his hamstring, but again, he's got issues with I think it's his heel and just his foot in general. Bad start to the season to already have an injury in week 1. So keep an eye out for Yeldon. I think he's going to be a pretty hot waiver wire added. But just realize that I'll bet you it's probably about a 50-50 split that Fournette plays less. It's early. Next week. But then with that being said, I think Fournette or Yeldon's workload is going to increase as well. Regardless of whether or not Fournette plays, I think they're going to try to sort of take it easy on him. I think he had 26 carries in week 1. Okay, Phillip Dorsett. Don't go nuts on this guy. So, former first rounder, did nothing with the Colts, did nothing in his, trying to center myself here. There you go. He did nothing last season. No rapport with Brady. Hogan was terrible in this game. One catch out of 5 targets. Dorsett was 7 for 7, I believe, with a touchdown. Don't overreact on him. He's owned in 4% of leagues. They got the Jags next week as well. So I don't know if he's going to be a ghost then, but I doubt you'd be starting him either. But you know what? He might be around after next week if he gets dropped again. But yeah, somebody again. I want you to be smart. I want you to be a smart owner. And don't just start, running like a lemming to everybody that everyone else is. Let them spend their fat budget. But again, keep your eye out for them. This is my due diligence. All right, James White, guy I like. So he's 49% owned. Obviously, a lot more in PPR leagues. But again, if you're in a 0.5 PPR league, I think he's going to be the only constant in that backfield. I think that Burkhead's a little bit banged up, and Sonny Michel is as well. I don't think they're going to be using Hill too much. I think he's hurt too. But anyways, I think James White is going to be the guy catching the passes out of the backfield. He was kind of doing that when Dion Lewis wasn't around last year. So I don't know. I think that this is a guy that's actually going to go off a little bit. Maybe not go crazy, but he could be an RB3 for you. So yeah, I'd like you to go after him and go after him pretty hard. Ryan Grant. So I would take this guy over Dorsett. So he's going to be sort of the WR2. Wide receiver 2 with the Colts. From that game, it looked like Luck was doing these sort of short, high percentage passes. So he's incorporating Ebron, he was incorporating Doyle. Grant got 9 targets. He looked decent, and it looks like we got almost all of Luck back. Since his injury, nobody knew it was going to come back or come of it. But he looks pretty good. So that's somebody, if you could just throw a buck in there and pick him up. If you're in need of wide receiver help, there's a guy. Phillip Lindsay. Okay, so this is a guy that's good. People are going to go nuts on him. So he split the backfield. He had the same amount of carries as Royce Freeman last week, 2 days ago. I think people are going to overreact to that and just go nuts and think that, hey, he's going to split the carries all year. I think it's going to be game flow dependent. Obviously, this to me means you get the green light to drop Devontae Booker, but Phillip Lindsay, people are going to be throwing tons of money at him. If he's still around on Wednesday, maybe pick him up, put him in the end of your bench. But I don't see this happening week to week to week. I see Freeman getting this backfield. This is just a matter of them easing him in. I also think it's game flow dependent. I think if they've got the lead and they've got a nice defense, and Keenum looked okay apart from throwing all the picks, but he's got a great rapport with Emmanuel Sanders, and then he's still got Sutton and Thomas sitting there as well. So long and short, good offense, good defense. I expect them to be in the lead more. I know they want Freeman, they spent quite a bit of draft capital on him, so I think they want him to run that backfield, and they're going to give him every chance to. Okay. Guy I want you to pick up, I've been saying it forever, Geronimo Allison. So he had what? I don't know, I think it was like 5 receptions, 60-something yards, and a touchdown. He's lining up on the other side of Devontae Adams for the best quarterback in football. He knows the system. Aaron Rodgers likes him. He's going to get the ball. He's going to have a good season. I'll bet you he's going to get he'll get around 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's free. He's available in 13% of leagues. Spend some fab on him. Pick him up. Okay, Mike Williams. So, lots of hype around Mike Williams. He's going to have the tight end role because Hunter Henry went down before the preseason started. Everybody's looking at him being, oh, this guy's going to be awesome. He's still 60% owned, but he had a good game. He had a good game against KC. I want you to just keep an eye out for him. If he's in your league, go pick him up. Gates is a shadow of his former self. He's going to vulture the odd touchdown, but that goes for, he's going to be vulturing from everybody. And I think Tyrell Williams is a little bit banged up. Anyways, I like Mike Williams. I like the big target for Rivers, and Rivers likes it too. So get that guy on your bench. Spend some money on that guy. So he's available in 40% of leagues, so go pick him up. Okay, pick this guy up too. Tyler Lockett. He's owned in 51% of leagues, but Baldwin is messed up. He's got a partial MCL tear. He's got something wrong with his other leg, with his other knee. So he's got 2 bad knees, and they need to be chucking the ball because their defense doesn't look like it used to. It's got to go to 1 or 2 people. Next thing I'm going to mention too. But yeah, pick up Tyler Lockett. They gave him a bunch of money. They've committed to him, so he's going to get an opportunity to get the ball from top 5 quarterback in football. So keep an eye out for Lockett. He could have a big year. Okay, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but Brandon Marshall. So Brandon Marshall, he's 8% owned. He's worth a shot. He had a touchdown grab. Again, if he's lining up on the field alongside Lockett, he's going to get looks. I mean, they don't even have their tight end right now. So, yeah, keep an eye out for Brandon Marshall. Danny Amendola. So I think I've been harping on him quite a bit. He only got 6 targets in that game, but that was a messed up football game. They had 2 stoppages due to thunder and lightning and this, that, and the other. Tannehill loves throwing to the slot. He used to have Landry there. Amendola's got some pretty good hands too, so I expect the ball to start going to him quite a bit. I'd love to see 80, 90 targets go his way. 31% of leagues, so keep an eye out for him and maybe stash him at the end of the bench because he could have some big weeks coming up. Okay, guy I want you to keep an eye on, but maybe not pick him up yet. Bruce Ellington. So Bruce Ellington, he got some looks. He got 8 targets last week because Fuller was out, but he looked good in a really messed up game. I watched as much of that game as I could, and I was just like, this is too much. This is terrible. I digress, but there was a lot of players in there that I was a little bit worried about, like Watson looked gross. Anyways, I think that this guy could progress a little bit. He's obviously the 3rd guy in the pecking order, maybe 4th if you count Lamar Miller for targets, but keep an eye on him. Maybe pick him up on the Wednesday when the the waiver wire frenzy ends for these yahoos up here, like what's his face there, like Lindsay and all that. Let all that sort of subside, and then keep your eye out for this guy. And this is going to lead me to some tips that are going to come up after this. Okay, Naheem Hines, I want you to keep an eye out for him. So grab him in PPR. He had 9 targets in week 1. Remember, Luck was throwing these sort of short, high percentage passes. So let Wilkins and all those other guys, Mack and everybody, fight for the backfield. I want to see you guys pick up Naheem Hines. if you know, and again, this is in PPR leagues, but I want you to pick him up, put him at the beginning of your bench, and just see where it goes. Okay, Dante Pettis, the only rookie wide receiver that looked at all good in week 1. Yes, it was due to an injury. Goodwin's out. Status as of now, as of like really early on Tuesday morning, status is unknown whether or not he's coming back. But Pettis looked better than him. He looked better than Garcon. So yeah, pick this guy up, especially from the inner bench. He had a nice, really beauty touchdown pass. And I just thought he looked really good. And he had a rapport with Garoppolo. Who knows? I don't want to overreact either. But it could be a Kittle Pettis here, you know, who knows? So that's another guy. You could probably pick him up on the Wednesday, or actually go for him go for him for waivers, but just throw a couple bucks in there and see if you can get him. Cole Beasley. So people might be overreacting on this guy. So he seemed like, if you want to say that Prescott had a go-to in week 1, that brutal game, that brutal offense that he has. But again, Beasley's a nice safety blanket. He had 8 targets in week 1. He's 8% owned. Until they start figuring out ways to incorporate Gallup into the offense, which I think they're going to do, and maybe start giving Elliott more passes out of the backfield. Yeah, maybe you want to pick up Beasley. Again, that's probably more of a PPR ask. And again, I'd only throw a few bucks at him too. Again, I don't want you to overreact. I want you to spend your fab early. If you don't know what fab budget is, I'll discuss it in one of my other videos, or I have discussed it in my other videos, but it's a free agency acquisition budget. So you get a certain amount of money in some leagues at the start of the year, and then you auction for these players that are on waivers, and obviously the highest bid wins. Don't break the bank on them. Quincy Enunwa, pick him up. So he's a guy that I've been sort of harping on all year, because if you remember, he was out all last season, but 2 years ago he was a beast, and he is a beast, and he looked amazing. Well, everybody that had a green uniform on in the Jets Lions game looked amazing yesterday, and everyone in a blue uniform sucked. It sounds like I'm a Lions fan. I'm not. I just feel bad for their fans. But okay, so Enunwa looked amazing. He had 10 targets and a touchdown. He's a big beast. He looked a lot better than Robbie Anderson. Looks like he's already got a rapport with Darnold. If you need a wide receiver, like let's say you have Cooper and he looked terrible last night, then you need a guy like Enunwa, because this guy could finish. He could finish like an RB3 or maybe better. I mean, maybe I'm being a bit ambitious, but an RB3. Sorry, a wide receiver 3. That'd be really ambitious if he switched positions too. Pull the Ty Montgomery. Yeah, pick him up. Throw some money at him, because I have him on a few of my teams. I picked him in a few leagues with my last pick. And then the ones I didn't, and I need some wide receiving help, I'm going after him. All right, Eric Ebron. So we got Delaney Walker's out for the year. Greg Olson's hobbled. Obviously, Hunter Henry was gone before preseason started. We're looking for tight ends, right? And if you're streaming tight ends, look no further than Eric Ebron. Owned in 34% of leagues. These tight ends are dropping like flies, and this guy's lining up in the slot. Or it looks like he was for parts of the game that I got to watch, parts of the Indy-Cincinnati game I got to watch. So that means him and Doyle can play together, and that's nice when people can play together, right? So so if he's not owned in your league, and people might not be going nuts for him, I think he had about 50 yards. Like, I think he looked good. And again, from what I saw and the highlights after. But throw some money at Eric Ebron if you're streaming tight ends. If you got Gronk, don't worry about it, or obviously. But yeah, okay, great. So that's it. That's my list. But I want to go through some things I'd like you to do throughout the week as well. All right, so waivers usually, the waiver claim period is until Wednesday. Then you get the guys that you were looking for if you had the highest fab bid, or if you had the highest waiver claim number on your team. So I want you to wait on a lot of those guys that I mentioned and just see that, because some people are going to throw $60 of their $100 of fab at a player that is not going to impact their team, because they're just like, it's week 1 and we got to do this, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to be patient. So I want you to look at who doesn't get picked up on that list in your own list, and then go after them on Wednesday and just go ahead and pick them up for nothing. Secondly, I want you to look at all the players that are getting dropped by these yahoos for these guys on waivers. You're going to be shocked. And people can think they can kind of slip it through. They can, drop a player that, a guy that spent good draft capital on. Say they picked somebody up in the 6th round and he didn't have a good week, so they're like, he sucks. Well, those guys, you're going to find better players on Wednesday that got dropped for the players that got picked up. Just keep your eye out, is all I'm saying. Keep your eye out and go in and snag those guys on Wednesday. That's my 2 cents. What else do I got? Oh, okay. this is something I want you to do. One of my leagues were going on and on about it, and they were ticked off that they didn't do it. Okay, so generally you've got flex spots, right? At least one flex spot. Sometimes you got 2 or 3 flex spots. The later the game, the later the game is started for the player, the more I want you in the flex spot. So a guy playing Monday Night Football, I want him in the flex. Guy playing Sunday Night Football, I want him in your flex. Guy playing 4 o'clock football, if everybody else is playing 1 o'clock, I want him in your flex. This gives you roster flexibility. This means if you want to maybe swap in or out a higher upside player, you can. If there is an injury, you can accommodate for it because you've got a flex spot. So say this guy that's sitting in your flex spot goes down and he's a running back. Well, now, because he's in your flex, and say it's a wide receiver, running back, tight end spot, now you've got 3 positions that you can use to fill up that player going down. Instead of just being like, oh, shit, I only have running, or I only have whatever. I don't have the players I need in order to fulfill this spot. Because if you're sitting up there in the running back spot, and you don't have any running backs to accommodate for them, and put them in there, and say there's a waiting period for picking up players, you're screwed. You're going into the game with a hand tie behind you, or the match with a hand tie behind your back, because you can't fill your roster spot. So yeah, later games, throw them in the flex. That's all. So some parting things. Often managers overreact on a poor week 1 performance. This is your week to target guys like Amari Cooper. And the guys that didn't look very good, that you know that are eventually going to come around, or at least I assume are eventually going to come around. Derrick Henry. I'm still staking my claim that Derrick Henry is going to have more points than Dion Lewis in 0.5 PPR. So maybe that's the guy you want to make a claim for. You know, like Drake looked a little soft in that wacky game. Gore was out producing him, which is not sustainable. It's not going to happen all year. Just put some offers out for Drake, and do it with players that you know are on your roster and that way outplayed what they were supposed to. James Conner, I've got him in a whack of leagues. I've got him, so embarrassingly, I'm in 11 leagues. I think I have him in 6. In the 4 of those 6 leagues where I don't have him with Le'Veon Bell, which doesn't matter. I've been trying to trade him because I know people are going to be freaking out at how well he played with Cleveland. Everybody is obviously thinking the worst about Bell, but these situations fix themselves very quickly. Or can. Not always, but they can. He could show up week 10. He could just not show up at all. Who knows? But, so I got Connor I got Jordan Howard for Connor in one of my leagues. I've been offering Connor for Drake. I've been offering Connor for AJ Green. I'm just seeing what the market looks like for him. The market looks pretty good because as soon as I just dropped the Howard for Connor offer. Guy picked it up. Guy, girl, whomever it was, picked it up right off the bat. Was like, yeah, trade accepted. I'm like, sweet. So now I have an RB2, RB1 for the rest of the year. And then when Bell comes back, I'm boom, set. And I got Kamara on that team anyway. So wow. Okay, so yeah, that's what I got. Okay, so remember, I am going to be, and the photo quality and the audio is going to be a lot better when my producer's back around. But this is just sort of a quick and dirty because I want you to have this information before tomorrow. So subscribe to this channel because I drop a sit-start DFS picks, DFS values and everything before game day on Sunday, and then after Sunday and Monday, I drop the waiver wire ads, picks and stashes and so on, Monday, Tuesday, the week after. So subscribe, like, comment. If you agree or disagree, comment below or hit me up on Twitter, which is below as well. Yeah, I look forward to chatting soon. Good luck in week 2. I hope you have a good week 1. All right, I'm out.